So I looked into the hurricane and I just discovered what a cool plane it was and how it was so prominent in the Battle of Britain. And then I went to see it in the storage locker at the city of Calgary, and it was just a bucket of nuts and bolts and bits and pieces. And I thought, what a shame that this aircraft that, you know, men flew in the war is now just sitting there on the floor. To me, this hurricane in its bits and pieces symbolized what we'll lose if we don't put it back together again and put it on display for future generations.
I've been very excited for this day. A Hurricane is one of my favorite aircraft, so it was very important to see it finished because I knew that when I saw it as a pile of parts that one day it would be something really good.
I could feel how passionate they were, and I thought, my God, if they actually can pull this off, this will be something that our descendants will be able to see and touch in the hundreds of years to come. But if we don't believe in them and we sell this offshore, then it wasn't going to be here.
I've watched this airplane since it was the bucket of bolts that everyone's been talking about. So to see it finally done, it's emotional. It's been a long time coming, but it hits right here.
I want to start with a very simple message, and that is to say thank you. And as much as we are here to acknowledge the arrival and completion of the Hurricane, this night is very much about you as well, because none of this would have happened without you. Now that's a tremendous cliche, isn't it? But it's absolutely true in this case. Your generosity, your trust, your faith, your giving is what allowed this to happen.
It is my honor and my pleasure to be here this evening to help celebrate the completion of the refurbishing and installation of Hurricane 5389. This project, spearheaded by the Mosquito Society, and in partnership with the City of Calgary, has been several years in the works, and it does my heart good to see this painstaking work finally come to fruition.
12 years ago, I stood, Barry, right about where you're sitting right now. I stood there on my own and said, there's a potential for the Mosquito to be sold and the Hurricane to be exported. We're not sure if it would ever come back, and I don't want to see that happen. From the moment I did that to the moment when we signed a contract with the City of Calgary was 5 years. So I want to call up our board members here. Our organization has been a legal entity since 2009, and these people have been on board since day one. Our purpose here tonight was to express our gratitude, and nobody deserves it more than these people who got on board because they believed we can do this. We can save these airplanes, we can restore these airplanes, we can honor the people who have been involved with these airplanes from design, build, pilot, maintenance since day one, and we can educate. These are the people more than anyone else who made this happen.
I had a hand in making the engine go again, although it's not 100% successful at the moment, but we will get there. The work that Andy and people around the world did to figure out the color scheme and how to paint it was just amazing. And this really looks beautiful the way it's finished out. And it looks like you could just jump right into that cockpit and take it out for a spin and go on patrol somewhere. It's just really an amazing aircraft.
This is a halfway point. We of course have the Mosquito, but this is a significant milestone in bringing Commonwealth and Canadian history into the discussion, allowing us at a time when things are so negative to be able to actually have an educational tool to speak about why we don't want to repeat these things, and also to remember those that have given us the life that we share and that we have now.
My dad flew this plane 9 times in World War II, and it just kind of represents all that part of his life that we have celebrated ever since. We're so proud of what he did for his country, and we're so pleased that in the city that is his hometown, there will now be one of the planes that he flew.
I flew this plane several times during World War II when I was deployed on Canada's west coast prior to being transferred to Europe, where I flew mostly Spitfires. One thing about the Hurricane I do recall, you sort of sat up a little bit like this, and the view was very good looking out, as contrasted with the Spitfire, where they had a great long nose. Very difficult to see very far ahead. I would like tonight to congratulate and thank the Mosquito Society and the City of Calgary for preserving this rather fabulous piece of Canadian aviation history.
90% of the airplane that you're going to see is the original metal that was, for all intents and purposes, constructed with in 1942. So we're very proud of the fact most aircraft that are restored are predominantly reproduction parts and replacement skins and this type of thing. But this airplane has got 90% of its original skin on it. It's been a real pleasure for our organization to be involved. Thoroughly enjoyable experience, and we just wish the Society continued success with the second phase, of course, the finishing up the Mosquito.
Back to Byron Historic Aviation. Byron employs several people up there restoring airplanes, one of whom I think deserves special mention, and that's Greg Davis. Greg has had his fingerprints on literally 90% of everything on this airplane. He is a master at this, whether it's woodwork or fabric or paint or metal fabrication or you name it. I mean, he has been the guy who has seen this project through from start to finish. Buck Hills is the other one who's been an important part of this as well.
Great bunch of people to be around. That's the best part, is being around some of these people who have a passion for these airplanes. Most of what we do, we donate. Spending some time with this airplane, you just get a feeling. You start to think about what those young men did for us 70 years ago or more, what they went through, what the engineers did, what the people did that built these airplanes, just the contribution that was made by this aircraft to Western civilization.
When I look at it, I look at a piece of history that existed, during World War II. Considering how rare these aircraft are, this is a real living piece of history. Not only that, our company that I work for, Argus Machine in Edmonton, contributed to the restoration of this aircraft in that we built wing pins that used for fastening the wings. Every time I look at this aircraft now, if I come to this air museum, I will look at it and say, we had a part in this, and that's what makes it so valuable.
And the analogy that occurred to me was, we were standing on one side of a river with a goal, which was to keep the airplanes, restore the airplanes and all that sort of thing. We needed to build a bridge across this river. And whether you contributed $5, which in this analogy would be 1 brick, or $50,000, you had a part in this success. So which brick is most important, the first one or the last one when you're building a bridge? They're all exactly the same. And it's very likely that if you're here tonight, you contributed in some fashion or another. And your brick, your contribution, makes you as responsible for the success as anybody else here tonight. So thank you for that. Gentlemen, if you could lower the flag, let's take a look at our beauty.
Symbolizes to me the sacrifices of the Canadians of generations past to preserve their memories for the future. Because if you don't have a tangible object to put your hands on, you'll forget. You don't know, if you don't forget, you forget what you can't see.
It's rather amazing, and I never anticipated it. I've got to say that. Yeah, but I think they've done a splendid job on this aircraft. I'm very impressed.
It's emotional to see this and to see the people who have put in hundreds and thousands of hours to make this thing happen, and to meet the man that actually flew this plane. That's a pretty amazing thing. It's a once in a lifetime thing.